1, 2, 3.
Do it.
Oh, go girlfriend. I'm your mother. Come on, Thorny, you're losing to the rookie. It's embarrassing. Come on, Rabbit. You can do it. Oh, Rabbit, he's killing you. I got Thorny in front by a lot. What's the matter? Your mama didn't teach you how to chug? Come on, Thorn. Come on, Thorn. Oh.
Ah, damn it. I am all that is man.
Hey guys, I'm Jay DeLeon, GM here at Mitchell's. I want to introduce to you tonight's starting lineup for Safe Space.
The kid rebounded over a man twice his height and proceeded to score at the wrong basket. He likes UCLA because he thinks Los Angeles is only 5 miles from his motherland, San Fran. Adam Marino! Hailing from lady parts unknown, he is a little girly on the inside, but insists on using the men's room. Paul Zico. The man in the middle, from Mrs. Ludwig's kindergarten class, he thinks he's stealth, although he's always on the run. Miles Harrington. The only Mexican from the Shire. The ladies call him Mr. Cool, the man, the myth, the legend, Juan Cordero.
And we're back. It's episode 10 of the Safe Space Podcast. As always, my name is Paul Zico. I've got Miles Harrington to my left.
Malaysia, and I've never felt more in my safe space than right now.
Adam Marino.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are at Mitchell's Sports Bar and Grill. What up?
And at the end of the bar, Juan Cordero.
Hey, ¿qué pasó? Es Juan Cordero, and we are doing it.
Hey guys, this is Miles again. So this evening we are doing part 4 of the summer series, and it's kind of a bittersweet evening for me. It's not only the last part of the summer series, but it's also the last episode of season 1. But I am very excited because this evening we are at Mitchell's Sports and Neighborhood Grill. We really would like to thank them for having us out tonight to do tonight's 4th and final part of the summer series. Yep, you guessed it. It's about sports. So Adam, would you let the good folks at home know how we came about and how we got here at Mitchell's this evening?
So my buddy Jay is the GM who you met earlier, and I hit him up and I came in. This is a new, relatively new sports bar, and I walked in and I said, hey man, we want to do a podcast. I didn't even finish my sentence, and dude was like, what do you need?
That's awesome.
What do you want to do? I'm like, I just started shooting out ideas.
Yeah.
We did every single one of the ideas that I wanted. Every single one. It was pretty cool.
Dude was all about it.
Yeah. Well, we really love that. And you knowing me, I love sports. I was literally born into it. The first time I participated in a competitive sports, I was 4 years old. Your buddy Tom was the one who actually taught me how to swim. And I counted up the other evening, and I have played or swam in 8 different sports, and I don't mean just like out in my backyard or at the park or something, in 8 different organized leagues for each of those sports.
Nice.
Started when I was 4, still doing it to this day even, and obviously it's not only a passion, it is my lifestyle. I work in the industry, and it's, it makes me up who I am. And when I went to Indiana University, shout out to my Hoosiers. Who? Yep. Yeah, you guys are probably saying who. But I studied sport communication broadcast when I went to IU, and it really helped not only make me think more, but it really brought in what I need to comprehend about sports, not just in my life as a fan, but really how it affects our world. I mean, literally, it's ended wars. Ivory Coast, 2006. Look it up. It's created life. I mean, cities have baby booms 9 months after a team in that area wins a championship.
Well,
it really happens.
Brittany Griner and her husband, whatever
Another
her name
female.
is. Yeah, whatever her name is. I mean, think of the man-child that's going to
Yeah,
you know.
that's pretty cute. But I mean, seriously, when a city like San Francisco, when you win all your World Series and basketball championships, people are enjoying themselves after, and boom, 9 months later, Bambino on the way. But I think most importantly, what sports does in the month of August, really, like right now, it makes millions and millions of Americans really desperate for some football. I mean, even I was an August baby, and when I came out crying, it wasn't because I was a newborn infant. It's because I really needed a beer and was really hyped for some college ball and for some NFL action,
and
man.
he was crying. He was crying because he knew how bad IU football has been, and he couldn't take it.
Now, be that as it may, when I was born, the year was 1990. So a team that did win a championship that year was my Cincinnati Reds. And on a serious note, my parents, they were really wise. On the date that I was born, they collected news articles from the local paper. And in the sports section is the old standings from that year, and my Cincinnati Reds were in the NL West at that time.
Yeah, with the
in
Giants.
first place at Giants below, Cubs
Cincinnati in
below,
the West.
Dodgers below.
Yeah, in the West.
My team.
The Wild Wild West.
But I was raised, I became a Reds fan because my mom, her side of the family, she has two brothers with their families. They live in Cincinnati, so I grew up going to Kings Island. Going to Reds games, and back in the early 90s and mid 90s, they were really, really good.
Yeah. And then Ken Griffey Jr. came over.
Yep. Yeah. He definitely became one of my heroes. But on my dad's side, he's a Chicagoite. So we would go up there we would enjoy some games. Now, my dad actually worked for NFL teams in the 90s, and actually the Oakland Raiders got him tickets for a game at the Bears. And one of the coaches, really, for the Raiders, says to my dad, "Hey, would your son like to run our pictures for our team literally from the bench up to the press boxes for the
No,
coaches?"
he'd hate that. No.
Well, but here's the thing. And my dad literally says, yes, he would love it, but here's the catch. He's 4 years old. He's not quite responsible for
Start
that
coloring
yet.
on it.
Hey, I would have got it done somehow. Even as a 4-year-old, I would have been
Who drew this
determined
play?
the
Zach.
momentum of it. And then I have one sister. She has always been a diehard Notre Dame fan. Tell you what, I grew up being Catholic in Indiana. We watched Notre Dame on Saturdays. Still to this day, I remember the NBC Notre Dame pregame music. And that just has always stuck with me. I'm not a huge Notre Dame fan, but man, those ND fans, they're crazy. And my parents got her a dog, and they said, if it's a boy, its name will be Rudy. If it's a girl, his name will be Rudy. So, Adam, I'm sure you have some great family stories as well, and how you became a California fan yourself.
Yeah, so I was born at a time where the 49ers were coming out of being the laughingstock in the 60s and 70s with John Brody and other players like that. They were really the laughingstock of the NFL. And Joe Montana, who went to
Notre Dame.
And came to San Francisco, and Bill Walsh, that was just... I mean, what can you say about Bill Walsh and Joe Montana together? It's kind of the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady of the 80s, I guess you could say. I mean, I hate to admit that, but that's the best I could do for today's, So I was born in that era, and so people were proud of being a 49er fan then all of a sudden, in the same way that people are now proud of being Golden State Warrior fans, which back in the 80s, it was a joke. So in that same concept, because people kind of understand now that everyone's on the Golden State bandwagon, well, that's how it was in the 80s. Like in Indiana, in the Midwest, you can always find Colts gear. You can always find 49ers gear. You can always find Cowboys gear. You can always find Packers. But 49ers is the team that's the farthest away. But you can still find their stuff.
Absolutely.
You can always find their stuff. And that's all from the 80s when I was born. So that was really exciting because they were always going to be in the playoffs or competing for a championship or just outright winning it.
Sure.
And so I remember being at Super Bowl parties. And I remember thinking, that in the same way that in baseball, the last few years, the San Francisco Invitational is what I've been calling it.
Sure.
Because when you're in it that much, but when you're a kid and the 49ers are always in the Super Bowl, you kind of think that the Super Bowl was made for San Francisco because you don't know any better.
Sure.
So I remember always, asking like, oh, what are we going to do for the Super Bowl? And if it was years that the 49ers weren't in it, my mom would explain to me, oh, well, it's so-and-so, it's Philly. And
You just assume
I'm
the
like,
Niners should be there.
What do you mean?
All the time.
But what time do the 49ers play? No, they don't
This
play.
is wrong.
Yeah. What? So we're not having a party, or are we?
Right.
So just growing up with that was like really cool. All the 80s gear. I never have gone to a game, which is the most disappointing. I've been to a Warriors game and a Giants game, well, plenty of Giants games. But then we moved here, so I mean...
Yeah. That's a little difficult unless they're on the road.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Paul, I see you committed treason against our state and wearing Hail to the Victors on your body.
Yes. Yeah, that started with the Fab Five.
Oh, really?
Like,
hence the number 5. I get it.
Dude, yeah.
No, that's
Peppers.
FUBU. No, that's FUBU.
Paul,
My bad.
Hold on a
For us,
second.
by
Hold on a
us.
second. Time out.
Oh, shut up.
Time
Whatever.
out.
All right.
Chris Webber and his timeout. That's what I'm talking about.
Miles was
swear,
like, wait, are we going to break right now?
Yeah, I was like, what
Timeout.
are you doing, son? 1993 national title game,
gonna get that
New
tech.
Orleans.
What's funny is Juan might not remember
No
this.
timeouts left.
But before he called timeout, you might seriously you might
traveled.
not. Yeah, he traveled.
No, I do remember that.
He totally traveled. And
Yeah.
even the commentators like, oh no, he traveled, and they're like, oh, they didn't call it.
You can't. I mean, when you're like 19 and you're getting that much exposure, I'm not
was
going to hate
2.
on you. I'm not going to hate on C-Web. He's still one of my favorite players ever.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Well,
But-
then he played for Sacramento Kings, which is his team too.
And they turned the Kings around. Like, that was a good squad, man.
Sure.
No, yeah, the Michigan thing started with the Fab Five. It just because, I mean, Michigan was always good. I mean,
Yeah.
historically, football, basketball, I mean, they're
Right.
always decent.
Well, and I'm curious to know, what was your first experience at the Big House for a football game?
Homecoming
Oh, my.
2000.
Oh, my.
I saw them play Purdue. Tom Brady whooped on them.
Oh, really? And actually,
yeah.
Purdue was
I saw
probably
Drew
pretty
Brees
solid
play.
back then. Really?
Yeah, I saw Drew Brees
I got to
play.
give it up. They were good back then.
That
Yeah.
was my first. That was my first time at the Big House.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many times would you say you gone?
5,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, I've seen. That was my first one. I got to see the Chad Henne, Jake Long team 2007
Yeah.
against Ohio State.
Absolutely.
That might be an event for the Safe Space to attend, along with 100,000 other people.
That would be. That'd be all right.
we might need to do that.
100,000 of our
It's
best
out
friends.
As big as the Michigan fan I am, like, it's the worst because you're sitting.
Yeah, sardines.
So, like, oh, they fit 117,000 people in there because they give you
Right.
6
Capacity
inches.
95.
That's crazy.
But that place, I mean, when I walk, I get chills, man. You walk
Yeah, I
in there,
believe
it's
it.
just.
It's epic. So we got a UCLA fan / San Francisco fan. We got a Michigan fan, and then to my left, Notre Dame and Mr. Chicago over here.
Hola.
So I know you are all about the friendly confines, man. I want to hear that story about the first time you ever went to Wrigley Field, and I'm sure it was many, many years before I was born.
Yeah, so my story starts a little different than most people because my father really wasn't a sports fan per se, so I kind of got into it just by going to school and other people kind of really loving the sport. And, you know, the Farmer Five had all the sports on. Chicago Bulls had all those going on. So I just became a fan of those that were being played all the time. So being in the Midwest, you're just going to be a fan of those.
Yeah, I knew
makes
the
sense.
Cubs. I knew the entire Cubs starting lineup from Jerome Walton. I mean, Doug DeCenzo. I don't like the Cubs. Doug DeCenzo.
Right.
I know Doug DeCenzo.
Right.
Just because you live in the Midwest,
Yeah, and I would
it was
watch
just
the games.
embedded
Harry
in your
Carey.
brain, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my first memory of being at the Friendly Confines was in 1984. It was me, my cousin Cisco, my dad, and Cisco's father Pancho, and we went to night game. It was like one of the only night games they had in the 80s.
Wow. They even have lights yet?
Yeah.
In the 80s is when it started.
Yeah,
the first. And you know who pitched that game was Rick Sutcliffe. Pitched the very first night game was
the
pitched
very
by
first night game.
at Wrigley Field. The Cubs pitcher was Rick Sutcliffe.
That's a good poll. I like that. That's a good little quiz.
Just a little tidbit. There was a game that went forever at Wrigley, and a lot of people had flashlights, and there's like a picture of it. There was like a bunch of flashlights because it went so long that there was like people holding flashlights trying to get the rest of the game going. And there's like an iconic picture you can find. Pretty much Google it, and you can see all these people with flashlights and lanterns trying to finish out the rest of this game because there wasn't any lights there because it went so long. But yeah, it was like 1983, 1984. It was all four of us, me, my dad, my cousin Cisco, and his father, Pancho, and we went to a game, and my dad didn't want to go at all. He would rather be at home watching a Mexican movie or something. But
with explosions?
So we went, and they were playing the Pirates. And today I was like trying to figure out like when it was and everything. So I text Pancho, and I was like, "Hey Pancho, you remember that game we went to?" He's like, "My dad, me, you, and Cisco." And he's like, "Dude, that was like 30 years ago. I don't remember what I had to eat yesterday morning."
But you remember who they played.
But he remembered that they played the Pirates, and it was one of the greatest games ever that I'd been to. Just walking into the friendly confines for the first time and seeing like the ivy and just how huge it was for me as a kid. Like when you walk into your house that you grew up into and you walk into it, it's like, man, this place is tiny. You know?
Yeah, right.
So back
I
then,
know what you mean.
It's middle school.
You go into your school, but the first time walking into it, it's like huge. And then I just went recently to a game with you fellas when we went Memorial Day, and it's still an awesome place. It's still huge.
It is. Thank you for taking me.
Episode 5.
I just love it.
Yes.
You guys got to listen to that one, episode 5. Yeah, that's
awesome.
my memory of the friendly confines.
And you know what's really interesting? You brought up going to one of the first ever night games at Wrigley Field. Quick quiz for you three. Where was the first ever night baseball game played under lights? Not professional, just ever. What city?
New York.
What city? What?
I'll give you a clue.
Cincinnati.
We're here right now.
Oh.
In Fort Wayne?
Fort Wayne, Indiana, powered by GE. Interesting. Isn't that?
Wow.
Isn't that incredible? First ever baseball game played under lights.
Oh, the Kikianga.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Was it the Kikianga?
Beat me.
I don't know.
I just
Anthony
know it's
Wayne
here.
and Chief Little Turtle. And it was an axe.
Yes.
And they used heads. T-ball. It was the first T-ball.
Oh, man, that's great. But Juan, you just talking about that and going to see some of your favorite players ever just as a little kid, that just brings back just the memories of me of some of my favorite players ever of really anything, but especially baseball. And you brought up my baseball hero, the #1 ever, Ken Griffey Jr. And I have to admit, he was my hero before he became a Red. With how he played and just changed the face of the game, for me at least, back in the 1990s, his smooth swing, wearing that baseball cap backwards during the home run derbies, how
catching
he just
flack for it.
Yeah.
being a leader in the outfield, climbing walls, making catches in the Kingdome, and did it without steroids.
Right.
His smile did it for me. The kid. He was
cool,
called.
I got chills with that beautiful smile.
At 35, he was called the kid.
Right.
I mean, still, you know.
Well,
Yeah, I love
I
it.
think it was called the kid because wasn't he one of the first to play with his father as
Absolutely.
well? He was the first, right?
But the name stuck also because of the way he played the game like a kid.
Right,
I think is why it stuck too. But yes, he played in the outfield with his father, senior.
With the Seattle Mariners, correct?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
man. You guys got me hyped now. It makes me think of...
Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner.
dude.
What?
Dude, that
no World Series appearance.
Yeah.
Right, went
Yeah.
118 games and then flat.
I would
But
secretly watch them because I mean,
they
who
were
wouldn't want to
good.
watch them?
They were good. And that just makes me think of everyone else that I've just admired growing up. I mean, being an IU guy, I'm just thinking here, who is my favorite IU basketball player ever?
There's no way
That's
you can.
so hard. If I had to pick one, if you put a gun to my head and I had to pick one, it has to be Scott Mag. and we're going back to even before Juan was born. 1976, one of the greatest college players of all time. He was two-time first-team All-American. He would have been two-time Naismith winner had he not broken his arm in 1975, and then 1976 led the Hoosiers to the last undefeated team to win a national title.
Wow.
And he is absolutely remarkable.
And his son was decent at North Carolina, but in the NBA didn't translate, but he won a championship as well.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And Sean, winning that in 2005 over Illinois. And he went to Bloomington North High School in Indiana. So we were all expecting, he's going to IU. He's going to IU. Nope, North Carolina.
That kind of like Kevin Pritchard when he went to Kansas.
Yeah.
And now he's the GM of the Pacers.
Yep.
That was kind of the same kind of deal where he was actually from Bloomington.
Sure.
And they thought, and then he went to Kansas. And he won a championship there, though, too, with Danny Manning.
Yeah, that's right. So, Paul, who are some of your favorite players growing up? Any Michigan or Dodger players in particular?
Yeah, when I remember like with Adam when we play like baseball or pretend or whatever out in the break, I was always Daryl Strawberry. It was just funny now.
Women.
It was like now because the coke and the jail and everything. But at the time, because he was the best player on my favorite team, the Dodgers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he had just signed from the Mets.
Yeah, I remember him as a Met.
That was a big
historically.
deal.
Yeah, that was
a
a huge deal. And then from then on, it just kind of continued. Like once he fell off. All right, who's the best Dodger? Mike Piazza.
Sure.
And then it just kind of went
also
from
a
there.
Met later.
What I remember about the Dodgers and growing up as a Giants fan and with Paul and things is that thing where I was saying it was the San Francisco Invitational. Well, I thought the Rookie of the Year award was automatically going to a Dodgers because Sean Green, Dave Hollins, Eric Karros, Mike Piazza, they had like 5 in a row.
So
and it's like, and the team still didn't win?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So, Juan, who are some of your favorite Cubbies and Bears and Irish growing up?
Just like I was saying before, just growing up in the Midwest, you see these same people all over, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Bears, and whatnot. But some of the ones that some of the guys that I really did enjoy watching would be from North Carolina, wearing number 23 from the Chicago Bulls, your guard.
I can't guess.
Michael Jordan.
Wow, I did not see that one coming.
Was he any good?
Man, he was all right.
He played like 2 or 3 seasons.
He cries a lot.
He does cry a lot now.
He's a crier.
I mean, even for me, Michael Jordan was my hero. I was kind of neutral towards all NBA teams back in the 90s, but I mean, you always wanted the Bulls to win it all just because Michael Jordan.
Right. And then this is someone else that I've always enjoyed watching, just because he was from Indiana, wearing number 33 from French Lick, Indiana. Boston Celtics 1978 6th pick in the first round, Larry Bird.
He knows more stats than I do. Juan should have done the sports segment. Shoot, not me.
Man.
Dang. You on it.
No,
He's on Wikipedia.
I have a cool story about Larry Bird. I don't even know if this is true or not, but it's true in my sense because it did happen, but I don't know if it's true. So let me just tell the story. So when I was a kid, I used to collect baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards, and whatnot, and I just wanted to go to a Celtics game or a Pacers game and see the Celtics play and get Larry Bird's autograph, get Michael Jordan's autograph. And my mom came up with this cool idea. It was like, why don't you just mail him one of your cards to, the Boston Celtics? And I was like, okay, cool. So I did. Never thought I was going to get my card back ever. What? 3 or 4 months later, I get a card back in the mail, head letter from Boston Celtics. And it's like, thank you for your time for sending out. I really love that you're a fan of the Boston Celtics. Signed Larry Bird. And then I have a card. My mom still has it in her safe, signed by freaking Larry Bird.
Really?
Holy cow.
Still have it.
May have been his agent who wrote that one out, but hey,
it could have been. That's why I said I don't know if it's actually true, but it's true to me.
His signature, I'm sure. It's got to be.
I think just having something like, I've got Boston Celtics stationery at home. Like that's really kind of cool. I mean,
right.
That is really cool.
Adam, what are some of your best?
So, I have a pretty cool story that involves my grandfather. In San Francisco area, he went to a restaurant that is like a create your own stir fry kind of thing. It's called Benihana.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a famous restaurant. So he was at Benihana, and he goes in, and who does he see but all of the 80s studs, Roger Craig, Jerry Rice, all these guys, and no one is approaching them at all. So you can tell it was one of those things where you kind of just, it's a cool story to tell, but you should just leave them be.
Sure.
Well, he walked over, made a beeline right to Jerry Rice and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Rice." What did you say, Rice-A-Roni? Excuse me,
San Francisco treat.
My grandson is the biggest Jerry Rice fan who has ever lived. He lives in Indiana now, and if he finds out that I met you and didn't get your autograph, he'll kill me.
You don't want a murder on your hands.
Yeah. And Jerry was very cordial and said, "Well, I don't have anything to write on."
Sure.
And so he said, "Well, just hand me that napkin."
Yeah.
So he got a napkin just like this that was white. On one side it says Benihana. On the other side is a big fat grease stain.
Really?
And he wrote to Adam, Jerry Rice, San Francisco 49ers, number 80. And he sent it to me for a birthday present. And I still have it framed.
You like the grease.
Yeah, I still have it framed. That's a pretty cool thing to have.
It's really ironic. That's actually how my dad asked my mom to marry him. He wrote on He wrote on a napkin, just like that, a cocktail napkin, "Will you marry me?" and passed it over to her. Signed, Jerry Rice.
And then real secretly, she responded.
Real stealth. You didn't see this one coming.
So
check the box, yes or no.
So my one of the stories that immediately comes to mind is when I was living back in San Francisco area a few years ago, and it was one of the last years that Barry Bonds was playing, and he was going for the record, and everyone knew it and everything. And I understand that most people listening and most people outside of the San Francisco Bay Area don't care for Barry Bonds, mostly because of the way that he treated the media and came off as arrogant and all that. Sure. And I would agree, and I totally get that. But I like Barry Bonds for a different reason, and a lot of people don't know this, but the San Francisco Giants were supposed to become the Florida Marlins.
Really?
And it was all set in motion, and they were going to move and change the name. I don't know if they were going to change the name to Florida Marlins, but you get the point. They were going to move to Miami and have that stadium and whatnot.
Sure.
And Barry Bonds came over, and it was one of Will Clark's last few years. Matt Williams at third. That was a really good team. And he batted .336, 46 home runs, and over 110 RBIs.
Wow.
And instantly became not just a leadoff hitter, but just the greatest hitter in that era, and it's not even close.
Sure.
You all can admit it's not even close. Whether he took Mountain Dew or drugs or whatever, it didn't change the way that he could hit a ball.
Right.
And I agree, he probably did take something that he shouldn't have, and he probably did lie about it. I'm not talking about that. I'll admit that, yes, he probably did that. But I like him not because he hit home runs, because he saved my team from leaving my city.
Right.
So
thank you, steroids.
So the fact that he hit the home run to be the all-time king, sure, is great, but here's what's greater. I was living there in 2007 on a nice, brisk summer night in August. And I had bought a ticket. It was a Monday. I bought a ticket, and he had one more home run to break the record. On a Sunday, he tied the record in San Diego. On a Monday, they're playing the Washington Nationals. So I buy a ticket, $500. I kid you not. I bought a ticket because I wanted to see history. I go Monday. I sit by myself. It's one ticket. I just sit. It's packed. I've never seen it that packed. He hits one to the warning track. My heart dropped. Caught. Didn't come close the rest of the game. Tuesday, I buy another ticket.
Really?
$400. Now,
Wow.
I say, Barry, you got one more chance. I can't keep doing this. I had bought a BMW. I was doing pretty well, but I ain't got it like that. So Barry, me and my cousin who now lives here, Erin, her and her ex, we went with and another buddy of mine. The four of us went because the only way I could get tickets is if I bought 4 of them. That was all I could find.
Absolutely.
But everyone was down. We're like, hey, it's history. So we're in the bleachers, and around the 4th inning, I remember walking by this guy that has a black jersey, a Mets jersey. And I remember thinking, that's odd that it's a Giants and Nationals game, and there's a Mets fan. But the reason I didn't think anything of it is because do you realize how many games I've been to that's not the Giants? And I always wear
The Giants,
San Francisco.
right.
So I was like, oh, I mean, he just...
Cheering for the Giants against the Nats.
But he's at a baseball game and he's supporting his team. I mean, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
So I believe it was the 6th inning rolls around, and just history. He hit it. I panicked because the stadium was shaking.
Earthquake.
And everyone was like, at first, and we're like, that's us.
Right.
We're shaking the stadium. 50,000 people are shaking the stadium. I didn't even believe it happened. I was trying to record it on my flip phone. I didn't even know what happened. I kissed a girl 2 rows. She kissed me on the cheek. Like, I'm dead serious. Everyone was like family. We were hugging random people. The game stopped. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been at a professional game and they stopped the game for 27 minutes?
Right.
Have you ever been in that situation?
Right. No.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hank Aaron comes on over the screen. Congratulations to Barry Bonds. They give the microphone to Barry Bonds. He immediately starts weeping. He can't talk for 2 minutes. He just looks to the sky and says, Dad, I wish you were here. It was like, dear God, like what? Like his son came out to hug him. Like, dude, it was unreal. Unbelievable. And then come to find out that Mets fan got the ball
right.
and sold it to Mark Echo, who put an asterisk on it, and and it's in Cooperstown now with an asterisk on it.
Right.
But to be that, I mean, I don't think there's anyone in Fort Wayne, honestly, that can top that.
Right.
The home run king, yes, I'll admit he did all that stuff, but seriously, top that.
Right. Great. I'm bored now. What a terrible story. No, but for me, like one of the heroes that I can only sort of relate to that would be Mark Spitz, IU grad, swimmer that I swam, year round for 14 years in the Olympics. He had 7 events, 7 gold medals, 7 world records. And he's the one that I can probably just relate to the most because I swam before any other sport. And that just kind of makes me think of when I was actually competing, being taught at Club North Point here in Fort Wayne. I need to put my head down and dive here. And my mom would just say, just like Mark Spitz, just like Mark Spitz. And I would just complain, but he didn't have goggles. I don't want goggles. But I finally
emulate
grew up
him.
into it. Yeah, I wanted to be just like him.
I would bat like Barry Bonds.
Right. And
Absolutely.
within the next 5 years, I was swimming club here at the old Fort Wayne Aquatics. And when I was 10, one of the funniest stories I ever had competing was we were ranked number 2 in the state for the 200-meter freestyle relay, and I was the anchor. So I was our 4th out of 4, and I was faced up against one of the best 10-year-olds in the nation. He was from Munster, Indiana, and I was like, well, if it comes down to us and we're close, honestly, out of my head, I was like, sorry, we're not going to win. But no one had in their minds that we're going to win. We were like, hey, we want to finish top 3. That's our goal. Well, it got down to him and I, and we were in 2nd place. And he dives in the water. I am right in after him. And I had basically my arms when I reached out, I was basically at, like, I'd say his kneecaps. And I caught up to him, and I lost to him by, I'd say, just a stroke. So my split time, which is literally just my leg of the free relay, was faster than his. And everyone's, even though we lost, they're like, hey, man, you did amazing. You outswam him. You should be proud of yourself. But I was still upset. I was like, man, I really wanted to win, whatever. So we get up. We're about to go up to the podium, and my coach goes, yeah, guys, way to bring home that goal. Way to go. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And what we found out was before the event was over, so the people in lane 1 and lane 8 that finished 7th and 8th, before they finished, one of the swimmers from that Munster team jumped in the water, which is illegal to do to celebrate. Yeah. So they got disqualified.
Wow.
So despite losing, we won the state title at the age of 10 for the 9-10 age group.
Wow.
And we're wearing gold. We're like, hey, we didn't deserve this, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
So
because we didn't celebrate.
Right. So among swimming, I also played basketball, soccer, baseball, rugby. I ran track and field. And last and certainly not least, I played football.
And the foosball's from the devil.
Oh, is it now? To me, it's not, even though I've gotten a number of concussions playing it. But I think one of my fondest memories playing wasn't actually just me doing something great, but was playing with current NFL tight end Tyler Eifert. Played with him since 6th grade. And I think one of the coolest memories I have playing with him was when we were freshmen in high school. He hadn't had a pass thrown to him all season. Hadn't caught a single pass. And he was the stud in grade school, and we're like, man, this just isn't right. Has he lost his thing? Well, we're not thinking. He hadn't even been thrown to at all year. And we were playing Lures the last game of our freshman year, and we threw up a pass to him about 35 yards down the field. He reaches behind him, one hand, snag, palm, brings it in, goes down. We're like, yep, he still got it.
Yeah, I guess that answers that.
So, I mean, when I think about just participating myself, yeah, I had some great times, with success and individual success along with team success. But my greatest memory is really just playing with a future first-round draft pick.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Just even if he didn't play in the NFL, and just how good he was at Notre Dame would be cool. But let alone, who led the league in touchdowns last year?
Yeah, for tight ends, caught was Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
First team All-Pro. Yeah, he was
crazy.
Unbelievable. So, you look like a stud athlete. I know you were a baller playing T-ball when you were like 5.
No, I mean, I didn't get into sports till later, till I was like maybe 7 or 8. And again, it was all because of my cousin Cisco and his dad, Pancho. He just came to my dad and was like, let's get little Juanito into something. And that's how my love for baseball kind of started with T-ball. And I played for several years and then worked my way up into the Babe Ruth League. But then after that, after I couldn't play anymore, I started to study the art of being an umpire. It took me about maybe 6 or 7 weeks to learn the art of being an umpire, and then got to officiate little league games and whatnot, and that was really fun. Really cool. Actually getting to do that. Really cool. I remember this one game I officiated, and Cisco was actually on the team that was, and I just didn't want to play any favoritism at all. And he was running from second to third, and it wasn't a force out. And I saw him, he tagged him, and he didn't have his foot on the bag at all. Where he just had his foot on the bag and didn't tag him. It wasn't a force. And I was like, "You're out!" And then everyone's like, What are you talking about? Cisco looks at me like, what's up, primo? What's going on, man?
We got a Jim Joyce over here.
Right, because I didn't want to show any favoritism, and a lot of people knew that was my cousin. So I mean, it was a close play at third base, and I didn't want to show any favoritism at all. So I called his ass out.
Him up.
You're out.
Reverse psychology.
Get out of here.
Show him butt down. It's funny. Adam, I know you were a hometown hero growing up. What were your favorite sports playing when you were young?
Well, when I moved here, I guess I was definitely into football because of Steve Young then being left-handed, and I was left-handed, so I wanted to be like him.
Sure.
But it was more like just sandlot football, just getting together with the kids and stuff. And I only played basketball I started playing in 7th grade because
late bloomer.
The friends at my school played it. In 6th grade, I didn't like basketball. So after 7th grade, though, I mean, Paul can agree, it was 8th grade on, that's all we did was play basketball.
Sure.
We did do sandlot baseball, too, and it was a lot like the movie where you just get together and, like, over there, that tree is first base, the pitcher's hand, or, like, whatever.
And you're
but
out.
we never really, my dad wouldn't let me play. I come to find out later. He took me to one practice, and I don't remember this, and though he saw the way all the adults were yelling, and he said, nope. So he wouldn't let me play organized baseball. I never knew that.
I thought just because it was too dangerous.
Yeah, I thought maybe just I wasn't into it, but I would have. But because I remember Paul and his sister played Wildcat.
We did Wildcat in 3rd grade.
Oh, garbage.
I remember that.
Dude,
I remember
Wildcat's a
going.
great program, man.
I remember going to that, and I know people make fun of it. It's not real baseball. It's for the kids who just need something to do in the summer.
Right.
But the instructional stuff by some people, depending on who it is, who really actually care, and they're not just doing it to get a crappy paycheck. Like it can be fun, but mostly if you're good, you're gonna play juniors, and like you're not gonna play Wildcat. But they didn't even let me play Wildcat. But by that point, I got older. It was all basketball. Our front yard, as you guys know, is a basketball court.
Right.
And here's what it looks like, because I know it's kind of hard to understand. But here's the house I grew up in, the front yard setup. So I grew up, playing there all the time. Me and Paul, we came out looking like a bunch of black kids because we had dirt on our faces from
that's
the
like me
ball.
now.
And like we'd wipe our faces off from the sweat, and then we'd come back to the house, and my mom would be like,
Don't
"Who are
touch the
you?"
towels. Don't touch the towels.
Yeah, don't touch the towels.
Not those towels.
Never recognize you.
Those are the guest towels.
Right. That's really funny. So, Paul, what other than playing with Adam growing up, what were some of your early experiences?
My first organized team stuff was Wildcat, and it's the competition's not as good.
Right.
But now that like I'm an adult and a parent, you look back, that's a really good basic way to start really young and just to learn to like hit, throw, and run.
Well,
That's cute.
And then if the
to learn
kid,
to be on a team.
Well, right.
To just like,
and then if the kid enjoys it, then you kind of cater him to little league or whatever.
league.
Well, and
I'm
if he
gonna-
shows that he can actually hit the ball.
Right.
If he hits the ball and runs the third, well, maybe baseball's not for you.
Right. But then there's like, intramurals in like middle school, and I played high school football, and we did church league basketball here in the city.
That was fun.
Yeah. I think, this is funny talking about sandlot stuff.
Yeah.
My pop likes sports, but he doesn't know a lot of the different rules and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like he'll teach me like, oh, that's a home run, that's a force out, whatever.
Sure.
But I didn't know what the word scrimmage was until like, here's a funny story. We're like behind Jamestown with we're like 10 probably, and it's me and Adam and probably 6 other like kids that we knew. And so we have sticks. Like, all right, this is the first down marker. Here's the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
And this is where the play is. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why do we have 3 sticks? They're like, no, this is where the play is. I get that. 10 yards. No, I get that.
Yeah.
What's the third one for? That's scrimmage. What? Like, no, that's a scrimmage.
Line of scrimmage.
What? Like, I didn't even know what the word was. It
LOS, yep.
Yeah,
Line
it
of
was.
scrimmage.
I was retarded.
That's funny. It makes sense though.
Yeah.
We didn't just say, no, that's where you start the play.
Yeah, like just the word. Like there's no other context for that word.
Yeah.
Where else would I have heard that?
Right.
Right.
Like the teachers
Not
would be
at
like,
home.
on page 10 we'll learn scrimmage.
You're learning things every day.
Yeah.
That's important. Well, it's good to find out that you 3 aren't unathletic as I thought you were. So we're going to take a quick commercial break right here. We'll be back in a few. And we're back. Looks like we went pro. And I guess that makes sense because we've all played professional softball together. No, I'm just kidding. We play in a local beer league together for the last couple of years, and that's
Professional
one of
beer
our,
league.
Yeah, it's professional beer.
Professional beer league.
We drink beer professionally, and we play softball locally. But I really enjoy doing that with you guys. It's one of our best events, I think, during the week, during the summer especially. I've only played the last couple seasons because I've only known you guys for about 2 years now come this football season. But how long have you 3 been playing softball together?
Let's see. I started and then individually got every single one of you guys on in
You're the
different,
glue.
pretty much in different years. I've been playing now This is my 6th year. This was your 3rd?
Yeah.
Juan, was this your 2nd or 3rd? Second, and then
Juan and I came together.
yeah, that's
we were
right.
acquiring
Okay.
a trade
So
from Philadelphia.
here's
I
the
believe.
funniest thing.
Philly, right? Yeah.
In softball, you once you have your team. First of all, what's funny is this is like half a team. I mean, a team is 10 guys,
10
and this
guys.
is like
Right.
40%.
Jay, hey Jay,
Yeah,
we're half.
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
And what's funny is that we actually play the Mitchell's team, and they kick ass.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They do have a good team.
but the coolest thing about the 4 of us is there's been only like one time that I can remember where literally it was the 4 of us in the outfield. That only happened like one time. I was like, oh, it's a very special safe space.
That was before we knew we were the safe space.
So
Right.
Paul in right, Juan in right center, me in left center, and Miles in left.
You can flip that. I was left center for sure.
Oh yeah. And what's funny is that combo really isn't necessarily the best combo ever.
No, because I have to do everything.
No,
Thanks,
no.
guys.
but it was pretty cool. It's almost like to look out there and have like Moises Alou is one of the most famous Alou to play in baseball, but a lot of people don't know his father Felipe was part of the Alou brothers, and they all played in the outfield together.
No kidding.
And so it's kind of funny. Like I look around in the outfield, and I see all you
It's the
jokers.
safe space. It's here.
We're not gonna catch a single fly ball.
Right.
Yeah, I can't run for nothing.
Yeah, the first year I started was last year, right? And I was horrible in the outfield, and I was so upset with myself about how horrible I was doing out in the outfield. I could not catch a ball to save my life. But now, this year, I'm doing a
lot better. Yeah, Juan, you are becoming a reliable outfielder. It used to be
and hitter.
pop up right to you.
No, and hitter too.
I was getting there, I swear. Yeah, you have that little nice dinker, but a solid line drive, I will give you right over the shortstop's head.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do with that. That dog will hunt every time. And Juan
Hell
goes
yeah.
up. I remember last year playing with you, I was like, oh God, here's an out. When Juan gets up now, I expect you to get a base hit. If you don't, I'm
He
let
said,
down.
"Oh God, here's an out."
Funny story with me and Juan. We over the last probably 6 years, we would play whatever the latest baseball game is on whatever the coolest system is. And lately it's been MLB The Show on PlayStation 4. But it was the game MLB, just called MLB, I think, and it was whatever year it was. And we would love listening to the songs that were on there, and it was the most fun playing against each other. And what we would do is whenever one of us would hit a lazy fly ball or an easy grounder, Juan,
We got
so that
Mine, gimme.
gimme.
so that we would like try and make the computer make an error. It was such a routine play.
that works. Right.
Yeah, because that works. So fast forward now to it was
Playing
a
softball.
few weeks ago.
I was hitting.
So
I was the batter.
Miles is up to bat, and Juan's at first base.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's lazily hit to second.
Right.
And right before the guy catches it, I can hear Juan. I'm in the dugout. Juan goes. The dude drops.
Yes, dude.
Literally
And
right
I
there.
yell from the dugout, Juan. It works.
It works. The green man strikes
I look, and Juan's on third base.
Yeah. And I think that scored 2 runs because the bases were loaded.
Yeah.
2 outs. I will never forget. I was like, bases loaded, 2 outs, and we were down by like
And
1.
Miles
And I was
pops
like,
up
I'm
to
gonna,
second base.
And man, that was my pitch too, and I just biffed it, and I can't believe it. I was so mad at myself, and the ball's coming down, and I hit it so high that I literally was on first before the guy could make the catch, and he just dropped it, and I was like,
So that
bail out.
that is a
Bail out,
reverse.
Miles.
That is a reverse story of my next story, which is when I play softball. Everyone knows we play the same 6 or 7 teams every week.
Yeah.
We're all buddies with them. Hey, what's up, man?
It's not
they
pro.
Sub.
It's the D League.
Half of those
4.
guys will sub for us. I'll sub for them. Everyone, they know me.
Right.
So anytime I come up to bat, if it's a team that knows me, they don't yell shift anymore. When a left-hander comes up in softball, you yell lefty, hook, and you shift. Not with me, because I always go opposite field and go to left field, so they just stay there. So this one guy knows I go oppo, but I don't have any power. So he's in, like, at the edge of the grass. So I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to really try. And I'm going to go oppo, but I'm really going to muscle it. And I get it. It's way over his head. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Adam hit like a long fly ball.
He didn't dip his shoulder and drop his hands like every other time.
So I'm going. Everyone's like, go like the cops are chasing you. Run. So I'm rounding second. I'm rounding second. He hasn't fielded the ball yet. I start to lose momentum as I get to third, even though I'm still running. I round third.
Bam.
They field the ball and they get me out. So I stretched a home run into a triple out.
And got tagged out. That sounds like Paul playing.
I've done
right
that
there.
a few times.
He crushes the ball.
I can rip the ball.
Gets into it, and then
Yeah, Paul can hit.
But I'm slow.
And Adam all the time, way to stretch that home run into a double
Yeah, I think last year I had probably about 5 of those.
Yeah.
that you should have scored on and just couldn't get there. Man, but honestly, I love not just playing with you guys, but going to all sorts of different spectacles. I mean, just being here at a bar, here at Mitchell's, just watching sports as we're talking to each other. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But nothing compares to us going to an event together. You know, Indy 500 the last 2 years, going to the Cubs game. And one time we had a lot of fun, but I was completely miserable this last football season. We went to an IU game. 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Hoosiers up by 28.
Oh my
and
gosh.
we lose.
Remember when Miles came out screaming as a baby? Fast forward. If you're up by the amount of points that IU was up to Rutgers, you don't have any business.
You don't lose.
But what's funny is
Take a knee every single time.
we all looked at each other. It's coming.
Right.
Yeah, we knew it.
Like we knew it.
He could sense it.
Yeah, it was.
He could sense it.
It was odd, the oddest
Yeah.
thing. I've never been a part of that.
What
It
was-
was my second college game, but
Once it got to 14, I knew we were losing.
Shout out to the comedy episode that we just did. That was a tragedy.
Yes, it was. IU was way below most people. There's no doubt. Not above, below.
yeah,
That was ugly. But I love that. And then also this coming fall, I look forward to playing fantasy football with you guys.
Yeah.
I did not do
yeah.
that with you guys last season, but I've heard some pretty interesting stories about what happened last fantasy season.
hey.
Who can enlighten me?
Juan, do you remember who the Sacco is?
What's that? His name is Paul Zico.
The Sacco. So
What'd
the
you make him
Sacco-
do?
The Sacco is the person who gets last place in fantasy football, as is tradition per the show, the league. And so we kind of formatted our season after that. And Paul brought up our rear.
I've played fantasy football every year since like the year
Since you had to do it
2000.
on paper. Remember?
it's
Terrell
way-
Owens. You had to
way,
like
way
Going
back.
back.
And I've never come in last. Ever, except for last year.
Just in life.
Yep.
That's all he's ever come
That's what you
last
get with
in.
playing with girls.
Speaking about just like fantasy, Paul last night on the group message was like, I guess I played fantasy baseball and I'm a freaking
Right.
contender.
So,
and didn't even
yeah.
know about it.
So
Send him down to 12.
We'll show you this text real quick. Check this out. And now look what he didn't even know he had a team.
And he might make the playoffs. And you're like, dude, my team is lit.
Yeah, it's better than the football team.
I'll have to show you guys. I've got Noah Syndergaard. I've got the guy that just
Thor.
got traded to the Cubs. Right.
Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah. It's insane. I've got Bryce Harper.
Yeah, back last month, Aroldis Chapman got traded to the Cubs now. and
Wait a
he's
minute.
got him.
Are there women in this baseball league too?
No, this is
Yeah, that's why he's doing so well.
Yeah. Like the football league. How many women were in that fantasy
It's a bunch
league
of
last year?
Nancy's.
4 of them.
4 of them. And all of them beat you.
I told
And all
Adam
the
from the
Nancy
get-go.
men.
I was like, Adam, come on, man. Are we really about to do this? 4 women and 4 guys. Yeah, I that's cool and all, to have like, everyone together. We all hang out with them and whatnot.
And it's casual. Yeah.
And, it's casual and whatnot. But I knew the things were going to happen as it happened. And it did. They're going to be catty about stuff.
It got
and
ugly.
It got freaking ugly.
The issue was that they had never played before, so they didn't understand that things that were just normal for us. They're like, well, no, that shouldn't be. Well, no, we're not. Those are the rules for 30 years. That's
No,
like,
exactly, because I'm not a sexist at all, but when you have women playing something that they have never done ever,
they're still going to have their opinion, but
Exactly.
you can have your opinion, but then when it's time to shut up.
No, they're just going to continue talking because they're women.
How dare you?
Bye-bye.
But out of that came the safe space.
It did indeed. That is a really funny story. Now, that I was a part of because even though I didn't play in the league, you guys create a fantasy group text. But just because I'm close enough friends with you guys and those ladies, we created a group text on GroupMe of fantasy football, but I'm there. And then as time went on, we just made comments.
One by one.
They just dropped out. Oh, that wasn't very nice. No, that was perfectly fine. You're just being sensitive.
What I love
Get
is
out of my safe
I
space.
would say something and someone would come back, oh, geez, you're a jerk. Then we would hang out and I'd be like, guys, was I a jerk? And be like, no.
Unanimous.
I still remember the line of texts that were coming. I was taking a shower, getting ready to go work or something, and I'm like, oh shit, this is about to get lit. And it actually got lit.
And it did.
Oh shit.
And then one by one, they're out, and it's like, our evil plan worked. It's now just us four in the group text. And still to this day, that group me now exists, and it's just titled The Safe Space. I love it.
Perfect.
Yeah. But hey, we would like to thank you all for joining us here in season 1. It's bittersweet, but we have to bid you adieu until next season. This also concludes part number 4 of the summer series. Juan dazzled you with the world of cinema.
Yes.
Adam enlightened you with his rendition of music. Paul offended us all with his ideas of comedy.
Dude, racism's funny. I'm sorry.
That's what got him kicked out of the group, the group me.
Oh, Jesus.
And I hope we entertained you all today with our glory stories of sports past. We'd also like to thank Mitchell Sports and Neighborhood Grill for hosting us today. They've been fabulous hosts. Come in, $2 pints every single day. They also have great food specials.
Today, I'm getting ready after we're done here. All you can eat wings. I think we should have a contest.
No, that's not going to happen. But it is Wing Wednesday. It makes sense. But guys, should we tell our fans the big news?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So if you haven't seen us or heard us already, click like on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, and this past month we just started on 95.7 WELT with our very own show, and coming next month in September we will have our own TV show as well on Access Fort Wayne. So until next season, I leave you with one word of advice.
Survive!
Fellas, safe space?
Safe space.
Number one. Listen, number one. Yeah. Number one. 'Cause 2 is not a winner, and 3 nobody remembers. Number one. 'Cause 2 is.
Game over.